Hey guys, Christy here from the Stamp Cycle, and welcome to another video for my YouTube channel and blog. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing a technique that I saw Dawn from W+9 do on her YouTube channel a couple weeks ago. I really like the idea of coloring your images, your stamped images, using the negative die cut from the coordinating dies. So to get started on this technique, we're using the Falling Flower stamp set from Stampin' Up. And I'm going to start with a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is cut to 5.5 by 4 1/4, and it is the normal weight cardstock, not the thick. And I'm using some of that Stampin' Up Basic Black archival ink. That gives a really nice crisp inked image, and it's perfect for watercoloring and also good for some of the ink coloring that we're going to be doing in this technique. So I'm going to start by using my largest image there. This is the largest floral image from that stamp set that I'm using. And I'm just going to stamp that down onto the cardstock in a triangular fashion, trying to keep odd numbers of the images. So this gives you a pleasing look to the eye when you use a triangular pattern and also odd numbers of things on your cards. So once I have the first image stamped, I'm going to pick up that second largest stamp and again stamp that in threes in the same triangular pattern. And then for the smaller images, I'm just using those to fill in the rest of the background. I'm not really following any of those rules there. I just want to get a nice coverage of that entire cardstock with these stamped images. And now I'm going to take the coordinating dies. This is the Falling Flower Thinlits, or Framelits, I think they're called, from Stampin' Up. And I'm going to take all of the coordinating dies for all of those images that I stamped, and I'm going to cut those out of a piece of just Whisper White cardstock, and that's what I'm going to use as a mask. So I guess you could call this technique coloring using your negative die cut. I guess that's how you would call it, but you'll see what I mean when I get started here. So I'm going to start with that largest flower, the first one that I stamped, and I'm going to line up the die cut that I did out of this piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to use that to mask off the rest of this stamped piece of card. And then I'm going to take a sponge dauber, and I'm going to apply that in some ink. This is one of the ink colors, Sweet Sugar Plum. And I'm just going to ink up that sponge dauber and then tap. And also I rub in a circular motion to get a nice coverage of the ink all over that image. So this technique is really great for those stamped images that you have that don't have like a coordinating stamp that colors the image. So normally for this stamp set I would watercolor these images or color them with markers. But this is a really fast and easy way to throw down color on these images without pulling out your watercolors and going through all of that. So by cutting out, using the coordinating dies to cut out the shapes out of this piece of cardstock, you create a very quick mask that you can use over and over on many projects, and it also protects the rest of your project so that you're focusing on just one image at a time. So now I'm going to move on to the leaves here, and I'm using Wild Wasabi colored ink. Again, I have a sponge dauber. How I do my sponge daubers is I have one sponge dauber for each color of ink, so I don't have to worry about mixing colors or getting any sort of muddy color. And I keep them in a container, and each one is labeled for the ink color that it's supposed to go to. So again, you just move that mask around to all of the images that you've stamped, and you just use that sponge dauber to color all of your images, and it gives you a really nice look. You can vary the depth and intensity of the color. You can color these images really light, you can make them really dark, you can do kind of a variation of light and dark, which I did here on. You can see it better on those kind of purple big flowers there that you see. Some of the spots are a little more intense and some are lighter, and it gives you a really nice, quick, easy coloring for these types of images. So now it's just finishing out with some Dapper Denim, Flirty Flamingo, and then that Peekaboo Peach. And then that finished up all the coloring. Super easy and gives you really great results. So now I'm just making my card base here. This is a piece of basic black cardstock. This is cut to a top top folding A2 card base. And then I have these, I think they're called Hello Framelits. Sorry. I will have the link to these supplies in my blog post. But I cut that thanks die out of some silver glitter paper and also some basic black cardstock. And I'm going to glue those two together and use the black piece to create a shadow. But before I do that, I want to create a space for that sentiment so that the sentiment will pop off this really busy background. So I just took a strip of vellum there and I'm just going to attach that to the front. I did lay it down on my grid mat to make sure it was nice and even, scored it on both sides, and then folded it around the back of that piece of stamped cardstock so that it hides the adhesive and you won't see that on the front. So now I'm going to work on gluing my two sentiment die cuts together. I'm just using some Ranger Multi-Medium Matte Glue. This glue dries clear and matte, so if you do get too much on there, you don't see it when it dries. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to glue these together and offset the silver glitter paper over the black piece to create like a shadow. And that is just going to really allow that sentiment to really pop off that background piece there. So now I have a strip of that same glimmer paper. I'm just going to adhere that to the left side of my card base. I'll cut off any extra that's hanging off the side. And I'm using the Tombow multi-purpose glue, and I've glued down that glitter strip, and now I'm just going to glue down the front of my card. I did end up trimming down that stamped piece to 4 by 5.5. That gave me some room to be able to add this strip of the glitter paper and also have a little sliver of that black showing on that side as well. So now that the sentiment is all dried, I'm just going to add some more of that Ranger Multimedia Matte Adhesive and glue that down onto my vellum. And then now I'm just adding some sequins from Pretty Pink Posh and also a couple of those clear drops to a couple of the sequins as well. And that will finish the card up. So this is a really great technique. I encourage you to look in your stash to see what stamp sets and coordinating dies you have to give this technique a try. It gives really easy, fast results, and they really end up beautiful. So thank you guys for stopping by today. If you liked the video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you want more information on the supplies used, head on over to my blog at www.thestampcycle.com and you can find more information there. So now I'm just going to leave you with the example I showed you at the beginning, and hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks. I'll see you at the next video. Bye.